You can see people have joined in. Grace Gikonyo, thank you so much for joining. Emma, thank you for joining. Diana MG, oh, your AI is taking notes for you. Jeffrey Faraze, thank you for joining. Sheryl, so glad to have you. It is 5:11, and I think this is a good time to start our webinar. We allowed some time just to allow more people to join in, but because time is moving, we are going to proceed with our conversation and allow others to just join us even as we go on. So I request Grace Gikonyo and Sheryl, let us bring on our videos even as we start. I will some of the time go off video, just trying to manage my internet fluctuations to make sure I don't drop off. So if you see me off, just know I'm managing something. So here we go. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this empowering pre-launch webinar for how we rise and thrive, navigating challenges, overcoming obstacles, and creating leadership impact, brought to us by Zion Pearl Publishers. I am honored today to be our moderator for this conversation that promises to ignite powerful insights and energize your own journey. With us are two remarkable women whose stories and wisdom grace some pages of this anthology. Their experiences reflect the triumph of faith, grit, determination in the face of adversity. Together, they'll guide us through their journeys, sharing invaluable lessons on their leadership, resilience, and impact. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us dive in. And just to start us off, you know, leadership often begins with a defining moment, an experience that shapes who we are and how we lead. So to get us started, could you, Grace and Sheryl, share briefly and introduce yourself and share briefly a moment from your journey that reflects the essence of your chapter in how we rise and thrive. So I would like to repeat that. Would you briefly introduce yourself and share a journey or a moment from your journey that reflects the essence of your chapter in how we rise and thrive? And because I can see you, Grace, I would want you to go first as I try to find Sheryl because I can't see her on video. So Grace Gikonyo, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Doti. My name is Grace Gikonyo. I'm the managing director and founder at Mainnet PR and Marketing Agency. Well, it's an agency that is dedicated to MSMEs. And I always say that your pain brings forth your purpose. For me, I've always worked with companies that focus on MSMEs. Sometimes you'd say, if someone listens to that, they'd say, well, these people don't normally have money, the budget is not normally there. But with that, I saw the pain that they go through, the challenges they navigate, and that is what made me want to create a better kind of environment for them, especially when they're trying to create visibility, to be out there, but they do not have the money. Apart from that, coming to your question, what is that defining moment that made me who I am? I'd say for me, it's been a journey of passion and resilience since I was born. I was an average student, yet with that, I always saw something in myself. I was very authentic within me. like I never wanted to be someone else. So I realized I had something within myself and I wanted to bring out, but I didn't know what it was. So of course I could journey on with my mother, who was a business person from when I was born, and she helped us understand the journey in business. She encouraged me in whatever I did. And in my journey, I have met incredible teachers, incredible lecturers who have spoken life into me. So since I was very young, I was in class 6. Our Swahili teacher was very good in languages. So our Swahili teacher, of course, saw something in me. And she realized that I have a voice that is very different. And she wanted me to always read chapters when people are struggling to read. You know how students are reading things, passages as we read textbooks. So with that, she was able to identify my voice. When I was in high school, of course, now I realized I wanted to get into journalism. But then my English teacher had experience in terms of public relations, and she started telling me that I need to focus my attention in public relations. But it was so foreign because nobody knew about it. And she was always saying that because not many people have studied PR in Kenya, they're bringing people from around the world to come. So, of course, it was my third option at that point. And going into campus now, I realized that this was something that I loved, because electronic media wasn't the thing I thought. I wanted to be behind the camera. I had even called, that time it was just KTN. So I had called KTN to just speak to one of their news anchors. So when I was in high school, when I was in campus, that's when I realized I loved PR more than electronic media. And my HOD back then encouraged me to take both as double concentration. And with that, the more I spoke to her, the more she saw a lot of passion inside of me. When I was in fourth year, I was appointed to be head of PR at the school's radio station, which I only had 2 semesters. So for the first time in history, we had an assistant, not to the station manager, but to me as the PR manager, because I was juggling school and it's very intense and all this. So all through my career, I've been working in MSMEs or brands that support MSMEs. And my last employment made me realize that, of course, I'd always wanted to have an agency, but I never thought I'd start when I was this young. So in my last employment, that's where I got to have like some sort of blindfolds coming out, because I saw the need for PR and marketing across MSMEs. It was an influencer marketing agency, but we were getting a lot of requests for PR and marketing services. Sometimes I had to do it myself, but it was really demanding. So I couldn't really focus on that and also do what I was employed to do. And that's why I started my PR and marketing agency. So that has been my story. Very long, but I made it as short as possible.
Not really long as you may think, because it is very captivating. Thank you so much for that powerful introduction. Imagine we are here just to get to know who you are. So even if you said more than that, we will still be listening. So don't worry about the length. We need more of those stories. Thank you so much. Now to you, Sheryl, we are answering the question. We are asking you to share a moment from your journey that reflects the essence of your chapter in How We Rise and Thrive.
Hello. Sorry, I'm still in the CBD, so it's rather noisy. I didn't really want to go so far because I would have taken a lot of time into the meeting. I didn't want to do that because it's a privilege. Now, Sheryl Akoth Ochieng, and Business Development Executive. Currently outgoing from top level management, which is a HR firm, but I was holding fort on business development. I have a passion for seeing businesses grow, and I have that eye that sees what else is needed, or rather what product is needed where. And I've captured that in my chapter on empowering leadership. And I can say what really blends in and the moments that are really dear to my heart in the chapter are when I express how I relate a leader not only being someone who pinpoints, but rather someone who enables, an enabler. How I came to join, if I may say that, how I came to join or rather become a leader through life is first by birth, the fact that I'm a firstborn. And you know, when you're a firstborn and your parents are very busy, you become the mother. And being a mother, you have to take care of others. And through that, I adopted the art of just learning to work with the rest by delegating tasks and assuring them that they can be able to do what I have assigned them to do through our growing up. And this went through until I joined primary school. I found myself in leadership positions, and I found myself in positions where I had to handpick a leader to take over from me. I don't know if it was intentional. It's really baffles me. Coming to think of it, it really baffles me because looking at other areas where leaders were, the teachers used to select for them leaders. But funny enough, I used to be put in a position where I select someone to take over for me. And I select that person months before so that I can mentor them. I can enable them into the shoe before I go to the next level. This really bothered me, but I didn't know that God was actually crafting something for the nations through me. So all the way through primary schools, at home, in church, to high school, to campus, and even during campus, I got to join a work environment that I found myself standing out. And by standing out, I mean, I was given a role of leadership. And I was seeing how other leaders were not really taking care of other people around them. This disturbed me. And I kept going to my dad and complaining to my dad that I don't understand why when someone has been given a leadership role, they really have to bully people. Why is it like this? And he actually used to take me through some trainings when he used to drop me to campus or the days he used to drop me to my place of attachment. And I remember he used to tell me something that I was also learning from him actively because he was an MD. By the time he was passing away, he was to go to the CEO level of Samia Group. And I used to see how he works with people and other leaders whom he used to oversee. I used to see him handhold other people to leadership positions. I used to see him empower people and tell them that they are able. He would take someone who had just lost hope and bring them to a position where this person was dusted, cleaned, and they get to a position where they are better than they were. So through that, I got to learn actively. And I tried in my own way, I tried to also emulate that and do it. Up until now, I can appreciate God that I have gotten to have similar opportunities, particularly top level management where I was. And I can pick out a point where I had just come from a career break and it was very difficult because having been out of the industry, corporate market for some time, you lose touch. And you really need a discerning leader to be able to handpick you, work with you, to make you stand on your feet so that you can be able to run along. top-level management took me in and believed in me. As a leader, and I've captured it in the book, that as a leader, when someone comes to you, for instance, in a corporate setup, and they're from a career break, or perhaps they just had a situation and they're looking for another change of culture, how do I look at this person? Do I look at the person as a person with the right attitude to learn? Or I look at them as another baggage? I capture it in the book, the way top level took me in. The MD worked with me, believed in me, and actually imparted me in different areas and really boosted my faith, such that I now came back to who I was before, but I had lost along the way during my career break. And you can look around or even ask around. When a lady who has just given birth consecutively gets to a career break, there's a way in which they get drained, such that you get to forget a lot, be it dressing, be it way to handle corporate issues, and especially if you are in a leadership level. So having gone into top level management, the leadership in top level management worked with me. And this really touched me. And I felt like this is something I need to capture for the corporate sector, especially in the leadership positions, that they become leaders who enable others to thrive. Over to you, Dottie.
Thank you so much, Sheryl. That was a detailed intro, giving us a little bit of how it has been until now, and we are grateful for that. We are here, and we are very ready to get to listen to even more of that as we continue with this conversation. Now, to you, Grace. What has been the greatest influence in your leadership journey, and how has that impact guided your decisions? What has been the greatest influence in your leadership journey, and how has that impact guided your decision? Grace.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dottie. I think just to delve back to what Sheryl was saying, it's very important to have, and I think I learned from Daystar, servant leadership. Like so many people have this thing where you have to be this leader where you enter into a room and everyone just fears you. I don't think that should be it. I think you nurture talents through guiding people in a friendly way. Let them see your potential. Let them see their potential in your eyes. Let them see who they are in your eyes, because most people doubt themselves, and always appreciating people as they do. Yes, they're going to get a salary, but appreciate the little bits that they are doing for you. I've been so privileged to have leaders on my path who have led the way for me, who have held my hand. And I think that came when I was working for an e-commerce company. Most people who follow me already know which one it is, but I don't want to mention here. But I had leaders across the globe, and those people really spoke life into me. I had come from a place where I wasn't really a leader per se, and here I was supposed to create everything from scratch. So this means I'm supposed to create a team from scratch. I was doing everything on my own when I came. I didn't have that kind of how do I say it? Like I really didn't believe myself to a point where I can be able to do all this. I was handling social media, I was doing influencer management, I was doing marketing campaigns from ideation to implementation. I was doing PR. This is a place where the reputation was really soiled, so I had to bring it up. There was a lot of things that I had to do. Honestly, even looking at my phone was a task. But those little words of affirmation that came from them really assured me that I'm on the right direction, And when I created my team, I led them through that because someone had poured into me from different countries, and now I was pouring into the team that I was already forming. And of course, even by the time I was getting to a point where I was the face of the brand, someone had worked with me. I really, and to date we are still friends. The regional manager in that company really worked with me. Sometimes, being in PR and marketing, honestly, you work with different industries. Today, you're in tech. Tomorrow, you're in e-commerce. Tomorrow, you're in the medical field. You have to really dip your feet inside and be able to understand what is this that I'm supposed to do in this company. It might take time. Now, I was being invited. No, he was being invited for speaking engagements. And because, of course, he's the lead of the company, he had a lot of knowledge, but he could throw those things on me and tell me, go represent the company instead. Mind you, I don't know so much about e-commerce. I only know what I do. So, of course, when I could be nervous and everything and speak to my boss who was in the HQ in a different country, she could make sure that the data team, that the marketing team from that end gives me as much information as possible to represent the company. With time, I didn't even have to ask for anything. I was already now learning and researching on my own because I saw the faith they had in me, to a point where I was named Top Digital PR Practitioner of the Year. That was in 2023. Those people worked with me. Every event I could go, I could be told, go with a photographer or a videographer, make sure that you speak about yourself and make sure that you also introduce the company. They didn't care if people have called me because of my brand or because of the company. They just knew I'm the representation of the company. So getting that from leaders, of course, it was a breath of fresh air. I think that was the highest standard of people knowing that they're very secure in what they do, because most leaders, and it's sad to say that most women leaders are very fearful of other women taking over, so they're very good with men, but when it comes to fellow women, it gets hard for them to be able to entrust you with certain things. So you find that they're not able to give you certain tasks because you'll outshine them, you become bigger than them, So I think it's very important as women to have that security within ourselves. Let's hold women, let's work with them. Like, it's not bad for all of us to shine. There is a seat for everyone. I think that's why I'm very passionate with this book, How We Rise and Thrive, and having 13 authors who are women. I mean, every journey is about what happens to you. No, actually, what happens for you, not to you. So when that woman comes on board, let's take them up, let's mentor them, let's groom them, And that e-commerce company made me shine. I think the most that I've ever shown, I've ever shown, for a lack of a better word, in the history of my career. And that made me get poached to another company, and it was very sad to move. But, after a long time of being in a company and you feel that you've hit the ceiling, because at that point I was managing Tanzania, I was managing Uganda, a whole list of. So I needed a new challenge. So going into a shy brand and making it known was my desire. And that's why even with my company, I really love MSMEs, because I see companies moving from one stage to another. It's very good corporates being corporates. They always have budgets. They always have, visibility. But what about that shy brand, that brand that probably doesn't have the budget? If you're able to start with them small and grow with them to a point where they're able to see you've actually done something, it's very easy for you to also, because I feel cash is not, money is not everything in life. Passion is. Everyone has a purpose. So if you're very passionate about your purpose, you change lives, you change businesses, and in turn, also, God grants you more blessings. So I think that has been my journey. Over to you, Dottie.
Wow, that has been quite a long journey, but with very interesting and very significant growth track. I'm so proud of you. We celebrate you even though we were not there when all this was happening, but from your story, we get a feel of it. And so congratulations. I'm listening to you, and I want to bring it to you that in part of our discussion that have been going on, not just in this book, How We Rise and Thrive, but even in others, like The Way She Leads, We Took the Risk. One thing that is coming out is that we are changing the narrative. Women are no longer enemies of each other. We are moving to a place where we are going to send down the escalator. We are going to hold hands of the people coming after us. So even listening to you confess what has been the norm, that women are threatened by other women. We are afraid of, someone coming and overtaking us. So we are very protective of our space. You don't want to bring another person up. But from the conversations I've been having with women, imagine people want this thing to change. A time is coming when we will be upholding each other and making sure that we rise, and not only rise, but thrive together. Thank you so much, Grace, for that powerful presentation. Now to you, Sheryl. Sheryl, can you share the central message or lesson from your chapter and why it is important to you? Central message or lesson from your chapter and why it is important to you.
Okay, the central message for me is on empowering a leader who empowers other people and empowers other people, empowers fellow leaders. And for me, I was not necessarily looking at a woman leader empowering another fellow woman leader, but I was also looking at this woman leader also empowering young men leaders who are upcoming. That has been a key for me. What are we doing with the generation that is coming? Or what am I doing with that person who has a potential for leadership and they are shy to come out? What am I doing with them? What am I able to give myself out to be that hand that holds that person, to affirm to them that they can do it? That is actually the core. Empowering that person and enabling them, assuring them, giving them that assurance that they can change their lives, they can change their platforms, they can change all setups in their lives for the better. And especially those who are in the leadership domain and those who ought to be in the leadership domain. Yes, in brief. Over to you, Dottie.
Thank you, Sheryl. Is that you giving us just a taste of it? I know it is not the right time to let the cat out of the bag, but I can get you. I feel you. You really desire that when in leadership positions, we aim at, empowering others and not just making a name for ourselves. And you've talked about it, even when you start this conversation, you started this conversation, that you like it when even leaders see value in the people coming after them. And of course, sharing your story, how someone else held your hands and, and told you can do it, you can come up again. From what I'm getting, from what you have just said, that is your desire. That is what you intend to achieve at the core of your writing. So thank you so much. Grace Gikonyo, I'm back to you. What really inspired you to write about your specific topic? You know it, so you let us know what it is. And how do you hope it will resonate with the readers?
Thank you so much for that. My story is called The Journey of a Favored Fighter. Well, my name is Grace. So of course that comes with favor. Unmerited favor, for those who do not know the meaning of grace. So then I was born on May 1st, which again is number 5, according to all the months. And number 5 represents favor as well. Just the same way they say number 7 represents completeness, number 5 represents favor. Now, for me, my journey as a favored fighter, or as they say, fighter first, started when I was very young. Actually, not even young, when I was conceived, because I was an oops baby. And I was born at a time which was very not the right time, because my mom and dad at that point were having they weren't having a great marriage. So of course my sister had just been born, and 3 months into it, Grace was also born. Not born, but conceived as an oops baby. So of course my mom was shocked, for one, and her high blood pressure of course skyrocketed. She wasn't safe to carry pregnancy. So of course there was that bit of, should she abort or not? You know, they had even gone to an abortion clinic, but at that time it was very unsafe. So of course, when they realized they cannot be able to do that, she carried on with her pregnancy to term. And when she was in the hospital, it's interesting that, of course, being a high risk because you have high blood pressure, she had to be induced. At that point, those times people were not being induced as much as now. So when someone is being induced, it means the labor is really bad. So the family had been told to pray for at least the mom to survive, because you can always get another child, but you cannot lose your own mother, or at least for those ones who are there, the sister or the wife. So they wanted her to survive. And at least for me, it was just 50-50. But they said it's either both or one survives. Both die or one survives. So funny enough, I was born. And I was born on 1st May, which was Labor Day. It still is Labor Day. So I think it was, I don't know, it was the real labor for my mother. So of course, if you see my journey from the onset, from when I was conceived, I fought to be conceived. And now at least even when I was being given birth to, again, I also fought. So my journey has always been fighting from when I was born. So even getting into my life, as I said, I was an average student, there is this thing that teachers always speak to people and say, if you can't be an A student, your life is on a standstill. You can never grow, you can never be successful. It's weird that at least the system has changed a bit right now, but then it was bad because I was excelling in certain areas but not excelling in academics. And it was disappointing, of course, because I also have a sister who I have grown up with as a twin. So we were always compared. She was very good in academics, not very good in arts. I was very good in arts. She was not good. And she was not good in arts, but very good in academics. So there was a lot of comparison with us. So I had to fight my way to be recognized. I always say in my life, kimbele mbele ndio imenifikisha hapa, which is resilience. Always have that grit, the determination and passion to get to where you are. So for me, when the teacher identified my strength when I was in class 6, of course, I moved with that and realized I can actually do this with something. And when I could see my mom doing what she's doing very effortlessly in her business, because she was always a business person, from owning a boutique to in construction, motel. She always involved us in business. So I started enjoying business. I could sit with her in interviews where she's interviewing staff. I was working for her. I was on payroll for some time. So I could see how business is being run and I enjoyed it. I wanted to get there. This is not my first business. I had a fashion business. And of course, my mom was always this person who encouraged us to pursue employment because it's stable as opposed to business. But I'm always in my radio interview, we had Dorcas there and she was saying those people who are called black sheep in their families are those who excel. So I don't know, my sister is in the call, so I don't want to spoil the name, but you know, sometimes having that grit and not just following according to what people are saying you should do, but exploring why is it that people are telling us not to do this? What is so different from this? So I wasn't that average student who was sitting and waiting. I was studying a lot, but I wasn't passing. You know, I wasn't passing like to that extent. I was a B student. So of course, for that, someone looks at you as not the best, but you want to also be the best. So for me, it's always been a journey of fighting to be recognized, fighting to earn whatever I want to earn, if it's that favor in my career, that whatever I want to achieve, I always fight for it. And that's why you find even in school, in as much as I wasn't the best, teachers saw something in me from when I was in primary to when I was in high school, and even when I was in campus. Of course, in campus, I was known as someone who's super bright, but it's because I was doing something that I was passionate about. So of course, my journey is about passion and resilience, and knowing that you should turn your pain into purpose. Let it inspire someone. Because even when I go back to high school, what I'd tell people is become the best that you can ever be. That best is what God uses to make you who you'll be in future. And I also draw a lot from Moses, the story of Moses. When Moses was born, he grew up in a palace. And afterwards, his journey changed when he hit someone who was from the other tribe, and he went into the desert. And there in the desert, of course, when you read that story, you feel like Moses, of course, is a failure because he's now gone to the desert and he was in a palace. But God used his time in the desert for him to learn, because his purpose was still to rescue the Israelites. But because he's gone to the desert, God uses that to be able to give the Israelites ways to survive in a desert, because they were in a desert for 40 years. How could they survive if their leader was not someone who had gone through that? So even for me, I wanted to have a business. I didn't know which one, but my passion in PR led me to know that I'll start my PR agency one day. But when I did, God had used my path in the MSME world to understand their pain and to use that for my purpose. So that is why I'm grounded to MSMEs and not corporates as much. Yeah.
Wow, Grace the fighter. Your life has all been fights after fights. Thank you, Grace. Now, Grace, I think I want to ask you a question. You know, more often than not, we look at our lives and where we are financially and career-wise, and commonly, we feel like probably our academic qualifications are so limited for us to be able to rise up and, of course, thrive. What advice would you give to a young person? Let us not confine it just to women or ladies only. What kind of advice will you give to a young person who probably did not achieve their target of grades or did not achieve whatever they had desired to achieve academically, and they are feeling like they are stuck? And they blame it all on their academic disqualifications, being that you were there, you are just an average student, and look at where you are now. What would you tell such a person?
I think for me, because I speak here as an aunt as well to a teenager, and one thing I always say, to date, no one has ever asked me what I scored in school. Even when I started working, no one asked me what I scored in school. No one has ever asked for my GPA in campus, at least after my first job. So what I'd say is, you did your best, and your best is that. Let's forge forward. You know, going back and looking at your past sometimes is not going to help you. Forge forward. I'll give an example of myself. In primary, in as much as I was an average student, I really worked hard. I really worked hard to a point where we had only a difference of 10 marks with my sister. We went to the same national school. When we went to the national school, of course, you become comfortable for some time. And I remember my mom was speaking life into me. I remember my mock exams, I had a C minus and an E in maths. And I'll speak also to the parents, because it's also the parents who also encourage their children. My mom was very tough, but when it came to me, she always told me that in as much as you're not as bright, maybe I'll take you to Uganda to do Form 5 and 6. You know, she gave me all options. Sometimes she could tell me, or do you want to do farming? What is it that you want to do? You know, So she always told me, you can become better than this. This is not your best, but you're still my child and I love you. So if this is your best at the end of the national exams, we'll still work with it. We'll still do something with it. And when I got my B minus in high school, I remember my sister had an A minus, and my aunties who didn't know my journey, of course, looked at her as the one who sat for the national exams. It's like, for me, I didn't. So everyone could call and say, I want to talk to her. I want to talk to her. And my mom did a whole party for me when I was going to campus to just celebrate me because she knew the journey that I had been in. She looked for the best because at that point, that's where she sat me down and asked me, what do I want to do? Do I still want to do journalism? And I still said yes. She brought counselors, she brought lecturers from different places to talk to me and assure me and just be sure that this is what I really want to do. And I sat with this and I was clear I want to do that. She took me to the best institution that there was. Now, if you look at that, she stood with me despite, the outsiders thinking that wasn't the best. Her sister scored this, but my mom made sure that that dream that I have will be born one day. So it's very important to have parents who are able to speak life into children. I'm an aunt and I speak life into my niece, because I see some gifts that I have inside of her. She's a writer just like me. She's someone who envisions to be in certain industries, which I think would be more or less like PR. So sometimes I speak life into her and I want her to grow to know that she's the best in whatever capacity. It's very hard. Sometimes we say our role model is this. I had a role model who was in KTN. As I said, I had contacted KTN at some point. It's very easy for us to look at role models and say, this is where I want to be. I see young people today reaching out to me on social media and saying, I want to be like you, but they don't know my journey. They are seeing the end result. So I always say, don't be me, be the best you can be authentic, because once you're very authentic and do not compare yourself to someone else, it's very easy for you to get your purpose. I could very easily have compared myself to my sister, but I had a woman who's my mother, my sister, my brother, who walked with me and told me that I'm the best in whatever capacity I am. So I think it's very important to speak life into them, to make them know that they are the best in that capacity. With a C, with a D, you can still excel. I have been in companies where I was led with people who have not even done any national exam. They started that company from scratch with nothing like a KCSE or a KCPE. So why are we putting our children, our nieces, those young people who want to grow, and we are speaking failure into them? Let's speak life. Let's see what we can be able to do for them to be able to grow. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace. Thank you for that. I believe that our parent here has heard what you have said, and that this is not just going to end with us, the audience of today, but that a teenager, a young person, a young man, a young woman out there is going to hear your story, read it from the book, and of course, learn something. Thank you so much. Now, to you, Sheryl. For a woman navigating challenges today, how can the lessons in your chapter provide practical guidance?
Thank you, Dottie. For a woman navigating challenges today, the first thing is accept that there are challenges in life, but what matters is, what do I do with whatever I am in or whatever I'm going through? What good do I make, or rather, what good do I ensure that comes out of this, which seem bad according to people? Women, we tend to go through a lot, but what I tell women is, you are the one who decides to remain in the issue, decides to wallow in the issue, and decides that you are going to have that heartache for some time. As a woman in a challenge, we have to decide. I know sometimes it's very hard, very difficult, and sometimes you even ask, so people are not around me. What do I do? I have all these dependents looking up to me. So what will I do for them? What do I do with them? First step first, take care of yourself. Come to acknowledge that, yes, I'm in this challenge. Look at God. God will give you a way. And there's always a way that he creates out in terms of crisis. As the Bible says, he always gives a way out, an escape route. It may take 1 day, it may take 2 days, it may take 3 days, but there will be an escape route. The first step is acknowledge that, okay, this is the situation. Then next step, step out to find a solution to the challenge. Number 3, there will be always someone who God has allocated around you to handhold you. It's just about you releasing it to God and asking God to show you the person or to locate you to this person who is to handhold you. Because God has placed everyone for someone. Over to you, Dottie.
Thank you so much. So if anyone is dealing with a challenge, from what you have just told us, the first thing to do and stay in denial for so long, wasting time instead of accepting it and moving forward. So I agree with you that the primary thing one needs to do is just to accept it, and then you can find ways to move forward. And you've also said that it is very important to find good in the bad. In every bad, there is good. And just because you have mentioned, of course, looking up to God, I'm remembering a scripture in Romans 8:28, and it says, in all this, we know that everything worketh for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. So I agree with you. That sometimes what we consider to be really bad could just be a stepping stone to something very special and something very instrumental in our growth. So thank you so much. Grace, what role do you believe that this book can play in shaping the future leaders, especially women? This is for you, Grace. What role do you believe this book can play in shaping the future leaders, especially women? And why am I asking this? I know the book just came out, but I know you have a chapter that you have written, and it is very highly possible that you have read a few other chapters. So you know a little bit of what your fellow leaders have talked about in the book. So go ahead and answer the question.
Wow. Okay. For me, I'd say I've interacted with several authors and I've been able to understand what they are talking about in their chapters. One thing I've learned is that women go through so much. We go through so much. And this book is just to show you, like, there's someone who's undergone GBV. There's someone who has started from scratch with nothing. Actually, not even scratch. No, she said it's even beyond. She thought people start from scratch. How she started from underground. Like she knew from the basement there is something underneath it. You know, I've learned how choosing a partner in your life, in your marriage, impacts who you are. From the chapters, I've also learned that it's okay to switch careers. It's okay to be different. But most of the things that I'm learning from all these chapters is you can always start again. And everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for you, not to you. And when I say everything happens for you and not to you, when we face certain things, whether that's loss of a child, that's the loss of a partner, the loss of your business, and starting afresh every now and then, people give up in the process. They think you're cast, that word is thrown around. Um, Maybe you think that this is the end of all. But what I've learned from all these women is that it's okay to start again. And just like Sheryl has said, God brings people in your path to walk with you. From my chapter, I think all through you'll see that there are women who walked with me to who I am today. And I still have women who walk with me. So I think it's very important for people to understand that, Sheryl, I think you can mute. There's some background noise. Thank you. Yeah, so it's very important for us to understand that women are not always our biggest enemies. I think that's what I've had to unlearn from reading some chapters, that there are women who can lead you. There are women who do not feel that you're a threat, especially if you're a young woman and you're making it. There are women who are there to hold your hand. So it's very important for us to learn that women are each other's friends. We can mentor each other. Things happen for you and not to you. Remain authentic, because in that authenticity is where you'll get your purpose. Do not imitate. Do not be a copy and paste of someone else. Be you. Don't look at someone and think, I should be like that person, and start faking your life or faking who you are. Be authentic, be who you are. And the other thing I've also learned is turn your pain into purpose. Man, that one is so strong. Like in every chapter you go through, it's the same. In every chapter you go through, it's the same. Turning pain into purpose. People have written things that they painfully went through. And overall, I think for anyone to become a leader, for anyone to be successful in life, for anyone to achieve whatever they want to, there is nothing easy. There is nothing easy. And people go through painful moments. So do not give up, keep forging forward, and know that if you have a higher being, whether it's God, whether whoever you believe in, always seek guidance from that. I am so happy that Zion Publishers is led by God, and so are the co-authors. And I'm happy to be writing this story in the presence of, I think, in the midst of God, because it's God who has led me to be who I am. And it's God who has been with me all through. And in the Bible, even in the New Testament, there's only one verse that talks about easy. When Jesus said, my yoke is easy. There is nothing else that he has talked about which comes off as easy. So everything comes off as hard, and you have to crack it. And that's why we are here on earth, or else we'll be dying or we'll be dead. Yeah.
Thank you, Grace. Everything happens for you and not to you. That is interesting. And also you just mentioned that what is coming out powerfully in the other chapters of the other authors is turning pain into purpose. I think life is coming out as always turning pain into purpose. And just like you have said that nothing else is easy. And I like the way you're putting it. That was a good research, that it is only once that Jesus talks about easy and he talks about his yoke. Otherwise, everything comes out hard. Thank you for that. Now, this webinar has been brought to us by Zion Pearl Publishers, the company or organization that is behind the project she leads, under which this book, How We Rise and Thrive, has been written. We are launching this book in 2 days. That is on Friday, the 13th of December. And we would like you to join us and be part of the excitement and the celebration. Because of that, we have a link that you can fill out for you to register and be part of the event on the 13th. There is a link in the chat. You can just fill out your details. There is further guidance on what is expected of you, and you can join us on the day and celebrate these phenomenal women together with us. And we also have the book. It is out for you to read. We are already reading it. We want it in the hands of as many people as possible. Should you need a copy of this book, feel free to make an order. We have it ready. We will arrange to get it to you as soon as possible. And being the founders of this project, we are also open to answer your questions. You have concerns or anything related to what we are doing, feel free to reach out, get in touch with us. We have availed our contacts in the chat, and therefore you can call us, you can WhatsApp us, you can also visit our social media platforms. And it would be a good thing if you're here and you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel. We've made it easy, just by a click. We have made it available. Just click on that and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us again. We hope you're learning something. And if there's anything that is catching your attention, feel free to post it in the chat. We will later on read it aloud so that others who did not catch it can also get to catch it. You have a question, please feel free to let the two ladies know. They will be glad to attend to your questions. Now, back to you, my beautiful ladies. The launch is happening on the 13th of December. Today is Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday, and Friday, yeah, the launch is on. Now, Sheryl, bring your video on because you're next. What excites you most about the launch of this book, and what can attendees look forward to during the event?
Okay, what excites me most about the launch is the Lord's doing, prophecy come to pass, and yes, prophecy come to pass. God did it, and my heart to the nations, my heart to the nations as a start, and for those who are coming, I can just say that come and just share with us life. That's what I can say. I've read through the book and I'm seeing a lot of life. So I'm just imagining how the launch will be. A lot of life poured into the book. Yes. Over to you, Dottie.
I agree with you. There's a lot of life poured into the book. And I think I've mentioned this, if not in all webinars, but many of them, that one thing that is really coming out is the authenticity stories. You read a story and you can really feel that this person is very truthful. This person is really speaking from their heart, and very intentional and just wanting somebody to get help from their story. So Sheryl is inviting us to come and share life with them. Sheryl will be there to be part of the life sharing. Thank you so much for that. And so, it's just fair that we get to hear what Grace has to say. So, Grace, if there's one promise you could make to the attendees, just one promise about what they'll gain from this book, what would it be? And attach it to them.
Damn. Okay. What you learn from this book, overall, is that everything is possible. Every dream is valid, and it's okay to dream. It's okay to dream again, and keep pushing, keep learning, keep unlearning and relearning. I think from all the stories, they're so different yet so similar. Like you learn something from each of it and you feel like this is actually resonating so much with my story. And it speaks to different audiences, to be honest. There's that girl in the village that it speaks to. There is that girl who is stranded at this point and do not know where to go. There is that girl, as Sheryl is talking about, who's had children consecutively and is going back to career world and they don't know where to start. There is that child who has lost their motivation in life. This book is just it. Whether you want to read it for you, whether you want to gift it to someone, it resonates even to men. Because you see, men think their challenges and ours are similar. The other day I was interacting with someone and they were so surprised at what women leaders go through. And for men, you see, it's very easy for them to walk into a room and everyone is talking to them. I've been in rooms where even my own mom was, and she was the only woman in the room. And there is a way she was taken. She wasn't taken seriously as the same way men were. And it's the same thing that is happening right now. Empowered women are getting I feel men feel threatened by empowered women, whether that comes to workplaces, whether that comes to marriage, whether that comes to anything. And women are fighting their way out. They're fighting their way even as we are talking about GBV this week, and our people who are out there protesting on femicide. It's the same thing, but people think of femicide as physical, but there is other emotional, financial. So you as a man, these stories also speak to you. How do you speak to your children, especially a girl child? How do you speak to your mother? How do you speak to your niece? How do you speak to women around you? I think it cuts across whether you're a man, whether you're a young woman, whether you are an older woman. How do you see women? Even for you internally, how can you change to become better? And even in your path, how do you can get your purpose at 50, at 60, at 70. So how do you restart again as you hear these stories from all of us? I think it's such a great book. I'm also learning from it. I'm seeing people in a different light, and I'm appreciating women as they are. So for everyone, I think it cuts across. Gift it to someone, buy as many as you'd want, gift it to people. Tell us as others to gift others, because you might only need one, but we might have people who we think are in need of these books. So you can pay for as many as you want and tell us to gift people, or you can gift people as well. So looking forward to seeing all of you on Friday. And if you'd not be able to make it, you can be able to order your book as well from any of our authors. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Grace. If you're not able to make it to be part of the launch on Friday, we have provided a link for you. You can make an order, pay for 10, pay for 20, or just pay for one and tell an author to gift, or even if you tell us at Zion Pearl, you have paid for a book, you want it to be gifted to somebody who needs it, we will do exactly that and send you proof that that has been done. So I think that is a very good idea. And I'm stealing some marketing strategy from that, Grace. Thank you for saying that. That one lazima tutumie. So as we come to the close of our conversation today, could you let the audience know how they can reach out to you, whether for professional services, mentorship, or further advice? Because listening to you, there is a lot of resourcefulness in you that we want to take advantage of. And because you're out here to bring impact, to help young people up, I know that is what you're out to. So how can we get in touch with you? Maybe Sheryl, you can go first.
Okay, for me, you can reach through 0790 843 229, or you can find other details on the book, which will be readily available during the launch. And also online in Amazon, we'll have our books. So you can reach out either for support, mentorship, business discussion, chit chat. I'm available. Over to you, Dottie.
Thank you, Sheryl. Grace, how can we get hold of you?
You can reach me on my personal line or the business line, 0737 948 142. I repeat, 0737 948 142. You can also reach out to me on our business email. That's info@maynetpr.com. Maynet is MAYNET. MAYNET. So it's info@maynetpr.com or grace.gikonyo@maynetpr.com. Looking forward to trainings, mentorship, coaching in the areas of PR and marketing, mentorship for younger people. I do mentorship to CEOs, mentorship training and coaching to CEOs and founders who are not sure on how PR and marketing works. They want to hire a team. They're not sure about their KPIs. I also do mentorship, training, and coaching to students who are looking to get into the job market, career starters who do not know where to start, and even those ones who are career switchers. You've been in sales for a long time, you want to veer off and start in marketing, which are very different fields. How do you start? You want to start in PR, how do you start? So I do that, and I also do the whole function of PR and marketing for companies, specifically MSMEs. Thank you so much, Dottie.
Thank you, ladies. May I ask, are both of you on LinkedIn? How could you miss out on that? Please say something. How do we get you there?
Well, my LinkedIn, I'm very active. I think that's the most active social media I have. So that's Grace Gikonyo. I don't know if there are other Grace Gikonyos, but Managing Director, MyNet PR. You can be able to reach out to me, and yeah.
Okay, Sheryl, are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, great. Yes, Dottie, I'm on LinkedIn. Sheryl, reach out to Sheryl Akoth Otiende. Sheryl is Y. I look forward to connecting.
Okay, so thank you so much, ladies. It has been wonderful having this conversation with you. Thank you for pouring out your heart and sharing your stories. One thing that we really, really sincerely appreciate is the vulnerability. You people are sharing your stories with a lot of love, and intentionality. We can see it, we can feel it. And therefore, we are very, very grateful. And also for the authenticity of your stories. Even as Grace was saying, the stories are very different, yet so similar. But as you reach them, you realize that everyone had their own experience. No one is copy-pasting the experience of another person. As much as there are commonalities in the experiences and challenges that these ladies went through, you realize that everybody was, on their own lane. They took their own path. And now these stories are collected together just to impact somebody, to bring a change in somebody's, not just career life, but even personal life. So we are very grateful, Sheryl and Grace, for having you today. Thank you so much. I also want to say a very, very special thank you to our audience. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for listening to us. I always say that you gave us the platform to have this conversation. Otherwise, who would we be to? As much as there are people who will listen to us in the future, you got it firsthand. Therefore, thank you for joining us. We look forward to see you at the launch. And if you want to make it, make sure you book one for yourself, whether you're a man or a woman, and make sure that someone has to give out. We shall do exactly that. Together with me is a super team, the Zion Pearl team. Some of them are behind the scenes. You don't get to see them, but they work to make sure that everything happens like it should. We are gearing them in full force just to make sure that everything runs like it should. So I also want to say thank you to them. Thank you, Emma, who is part of this meeting, and the rest of the team that is not here. I also want to say thank you to the founder and director of Zion Pearl Publishers, for creating this platform. If you didn't say yes to this call, we will not be here. But because you did, here we are, impacting lives and bringing change in the lives of people. So with that, I want to say a very good evening to you. And I don't want to forget to mention that I'm Dottie, and I'm glad to have been our moderator for today. I look forward to meeting you at the launch, and of course, having you in our other events. We have a lot of events that happen very close to one another. If you get an opportunity, feel free to join us. But for now, we are focusing on the launch. Get the link in the chat, register there, and join us for that grand launch of the book, How We Rise and Thrive, Navigating Challenges, Overcoming Obstacles, and Creating Leadership Impact. With that, I wish you a very lovely evening and a restful night, and of course, a restful holiday tomorrow. Bye.